The first time I ever fired my weapon in combat, it was close. Close enough to see the whites of his eyes. Close enough to feel the moment hang in the air like a question. He raised his rifle, I raised mine faster. 2 clean shots to the head. He dropped. I didn't even feel my finger move. It's a strange thing how quiet it is after you take a life. Not peace, just absence. I'm a Navy SEAL, and this is the story of the night I earned the Medal of Honor. But it didn't start with a firefight. It started with a man named Clark Schwedler. Clark was one of my best friends. A SEAL. A warrior. He was killed on a mission outside Fallujah in 2007. I was there, and I wasn't fast enough to save him. His death changed the trajectory of my life. I joined DevGru, SEAL Team 6, not long after, one of the most selective, demanding places in the world. By 2011, I had played a small role in the Bin Laden raid, and a few months later, I watched as Extortion 17 went down. 30 Americans lost, 17 SEALs. A third of our unit, gone. 1 year after that, we got the call. An American doctor had been taken hostage in the Tangi Valley, same region where Extortion 17 was shot down, same terrain, same enemy, and this time, it was our turn to go in. The mission was simple on paper, get him back, alive, but we knew better. There's no such thing as a simple hostage rescue, not in that valley. We inserted at night, scaled a mountain in pitch black, down-climbed rock faces with ladders and ropes, and just before first light, we hit the compound. We didn't know what was behind those doors, but we knew what failure meant, so we didn't fail. This is the story of what happened inside that building, how we found the doctor, how we lost a brother, and how I came home carrying something heavier than any rifle I've ever held. I didn't grow up around guns, never went hunting, didn't even touch a weapon until I joined the military. But I was drawn to it. Maybe it was the books, stories about Navy SEALs in Vietnam, the movies, the heroics, the impossible missions, or maybe it was because my dad, a Navy veteran, never talked about his service, and I needed to find my own story. We flew a flag on our front porch, but military life felt like something far away. Something I didn't deserve, and yet it pulled at me. So I enlisted, took the long road. Then came the cold, wet, miserable. Hell Week alone was 5.5 days of non-stop suffering. Over 200 started in my class, fewer than 25 of us finished. I had a fractured tailbone and 0 sleep for the first 72 hours. But I made it. That Friday morning, after our last evolution, the commanding officer came over the berm carrying an American flag. He told us our class was secured. Everyone stood silent, except me. I let out a roar, 10 seconds long. Couldn't stop it, wouldn't have even if I could. It was pride, it was exhaustion. It was proof that the small-town kid who didn't belong had just done something very few ever would. After that came SEAL qualification training, another 7 months, then deployments, then war. I lost Clark in 2007. Fallujah. He was hit during a direct action mission, didn't make it. Clark wasn't just a teammate, he was my friend, and his death didn't just leave a hole, it lit a fire. I applied for DevGru, made it through selection, got assigned to Blue Squadron, was there for the Bin Laden raid in 2011. A small role, but I was there. Then came August. Extortion 17, 30 Americans killed, 17 of them SEALs. It was the deadliest day in Special Operations history, and it shattered us. We had to rebuild the unit. 2 Troop was gone. I transferred over, from blue to gold, from one culture to another. No time to grieve, no time to question, just mission. Always mission. 12 months later, we deployed to Afghanistan. FOB Schenk. Back to the Tangi Valley, the same place where Extortion 17 went down, the most dangerous place in the country. Then came the intel. An American doctor, Joseph, had been taken hostage, captured by Taliban-aligned fighters. and they were planning to move him to Pakistan. If that happened, we'd likely never see him again. So we spun up, fast, no time for perfect, just time for action. This would be no ordinary raid. This was hostage rescue, high risk, low margin for error, and the target compound, built into a mountain, defended, watched. We couldn't go through the valley. We had to scale the cliffs in the dark. We were SEAL Team 6. We were trained for this. But even we had no idea what we were walking into. We launched the night of December 8th. Helos took off under full blackout conditions. No lights, no noise, no room for error. We were flying into the Tangi Valley, the same place where a year earlier Extortion 17 had been shot out of the sky, the same place that had swallowed 17 SEALs and left the rest of us shattered. We weren't going to let it happen again. The flight was long, 5 hours across Afghanistan. When we landed, we were still miles away from the target. Why? Because the compound was positioned high on a ridge that overlooked the entire valley. We couldn't just walk through the front. Even at night, the moonlight would expose us. We'd be spotted, shot, and the hostage, Dr. Joseph, would be dead before we ever got near him. So we did what SEALs have done for generations. We took the hard way, the impossible way. We climbed a mountain, in the dark, carrying full kit, weapons, ladders, gear, everything we'd need to fight once we got there. At first, the incline was manageable. Loose rock, sand, tiring, but doable. Then it got worse. We hit sheer rock faces, drop-offs, blind ledges. At some points we had to use aluminum ladders to get from one level to the next. Others we had to boulder down backward, feet first, feeling for footholds with nothing but instinct and a prayer. There was no path, no margin for error. If one man slipped, he'd take the guy behind him down with him. And still, we kept going. Because at the top of that climb was a hostage, an American, and we were the only ones coming for him. When we finally reached the bottom, the first call to prayer echoed through the valley. The sun hadn't crested the mountains yet, but it was close, too close. Our window was closing. We got eyes on the compound, multiple buildings, courtyard, guard positions. We split off, each team took a sector. Our job, Echo Team, was to hit the structure where we believed Dr. Joseph was being held. Nick Check, our point man, led the way, fearless, focused, aggressive when he needed to be, just like Clark Schwedler had been. I watched him push ahead, scanning every doorway, every window. Then, movement. A Taliban guard stepped out of the doorway, rifle in hand. Nick didn't wait. 2 shots dropped him cold. Then Nick ran, straight toward the structure, toward danger, toward our objective. I followed close behind, trying to create space between us in case I needed to fire. But Nick was already 6, maybe 8 feet ahead. No hesitation, no second guessing. We moved in fast. When we reached the door, we hit something we hadn't seen before. Layers of thick wool blankets cemented into the doorway. No doorknob, no hinges. It was meant to stop us, to slow us down, and it worked. We tried ripping them down. Nothing. They were jammed so tight into the frame they may as well have been steel. Our troop chief yelled, "Get in there!" Seconds were ticking. And in hostage rescue, seconds cost lives. Nick forced his way through. Pushing past the layers, I was right behind him. The blankets grabbed at our gear, snagged on our rifles, our night vision, our helmets. I couldn't see anything, couldn't breathe, just pushed. We made it through. Inside was chaos. Dim light, cramped walls, gunfire. I stepped over someone, didn't know if they were alive or dead. My area was the left side of the room. I raised my rifle and locked eyes with a man holding a weapon. 20 feet away, he saw me. I saw him. I fired. 3 rounds, headshots. He dropped. But then, movement. Another man crawling toward a pile of weapons. I ran, pounced, pinned him with my knees to the ground. He struggled, clawed, fought to reach a weapon inches away. I yelled out, "Dr. Joseph, say something." Nothing, no reply, just silence and the sound of chaos behind me. Was I holding down the hostage or another threat? No one knew. I kept calling, then finally a voice from the right side of the room. "I'm over here." It wasn't the man under me. It was someone else, Dr. Joseph, alive. I made the call. I fired one round into the man beneath me, got off him, leapt across the room, threw my body over the hostage. Gunfire erupted again. I heard rounds impact walls, felt splinters hit my face. I wrapped my arms around Dr. Joseph, pulled him tight to my chest, let my body armor cover him. Then I reached, found another fighter just feet away. I lunged, grabbed him by the throat and pinned him against the wall. He reached for something, but it was too late. My team was already inside. They finished the job. We cleared the building, 5 enemy fighters down, no shots fired at the hostage. Dr. Joseph was alive, shaken, but alive. We did a rapid EOD check, no suicide vests, no booby traps. He could walk, he was coherent, so we moved fast. Sunlight was breaking the ridgelines now. We were out of time. We rushed Dr. Joseph to the extraction point. As I handed him off, I turned and saw the medics working on Nick. He had been shot in the head, point blank. They were doing everything they could. IVs, CPR. I ran to help, took over compressions, rotated with the PJ. 40 minutes back to Bagram. 40 minutes of hope, of fight, but it wasn't enough. Doctors pronounced Nick dead upon arrival, and just like that, he was gone. We had saved one life and lost one of our best. I stood in the hangar at Bagram, still wearing the dust and blood of that morning. We'd just gotten off the bird. Dr. Joseph was alive. But Nick, he didn't make it. They called it a success, and tactically maybe it was. We rescued the hostage, eliminated the threat, brought everyone else home, except him. The moment they pronounced him, everything stopped. No cheering, no high fives, just silence, the kind you feel in your bones. I remember walking over to the cot where they'd laid him, still in his gear, helmet off, eyes closed. One of the medics had draped a flag over him. I reached down and placed my hand on his chest plate. Didn't say a word, didn't need to. He knew. Back at the team room, no one spoke for hours, just sat, staring, processing. This wasn't our first loss, but this one was different. Nick had led that charge. He'd taken point when no one else could. He was the reason we got in fast enough to save Joseph. He gave up everything, so someone else could live. And that's the truth about heroism. It's not dramatic, it's not loud, it's a decision, made in a second, with no guarantee of survival. We flew home a few days later, no parade, no press release, just us, a folded flag and an empty seat. Weeks passed, then months. Medals were written, citations drafted. I was told I'd be nominated for the Medal of Honor. At first I said no. It didn't feel right because I didn't do it alone. None of us did. Nick should have been here. He should have been standing next to me. He wasn't just a teammate. He was a force of nature, and without him, that doctor would have never made it out. But they insisted, and eventually, I accepted, not for me, but for him, and for Clark, and for the men of Extortion 17, for every name I still carry on my wrist. On the day of the ceremony, I stood in front of a crowd with the medal being placed around my neck, but all I could think about was that mountain, that room, that roar of gunfire, and the quiet after. It wasn't about me, it was about the team, about what we do, about what we give up, so others don't have to. And I knew, from that moment forward, that medal didn't belong to me. It belonged to all of us, to every man who ran toward the danger, to every family who got a folded flag, to every operator who didn't come home. That mission was the cost. This medal is the burden, and carrying it every single day is the real weight I came home with. People often ask me what it feels like to wear the Medal of Honor. They expect some grand answer, some speech about valor or pride. But truth is, it's heavy. Not just the medal around your neck, but what it represents. It's the weight of voices that are no longer here, the echo of gunfire that still rings in your ears, the stillness in a room full of teammates where one chair stays empty. Every time I look at that medal, I don't see a reflection of myself. I see Nick, charging ahead without hesitation. I see Clark, smiling that stupid grin before every op. I see the faces from Extortion 17, faces that never aged another day. I wear it for them, and I speak for them. Because the truth is, most Americans will never understand what happens in the dark corners of the world, where the only thing standing between chaos and hope is a man with a rifle and a reason. Nick's reason was simple: get the hostage home, and mine is to make sure people never forget what that cost. Not all scars bleed. Some live deep in your bones, in the moments that play on loop when the world goes quiet. But even with all that, I wouldn't trade it. Because somewhere right now, there's a kid reading about Navy SEALs, staring at a flag outside his window, wondering if he has what it takes, and maybe, one day, he'll get his chance, just like I did. And when he's cold, broken, exhausted, when his body says no but his soul says keep going, maybe he'll remember this story. Maybe he'll remember Nick, and he'll get up, one more time. That's what this medal is for. Not the glory, not the headlines, but the next generation who might need a reason to believe. So if you ask me what it feels like to be a Medal of Honor recipient, I'll tell you this: it feels like remembering every damn day and choosing to carry them forward. If this story moved you, share it, because the world needs to remember what sacrifice really means. Hit the like button if you believe in honor and courage. Subscribe for more untold stories of valor, pain, and purpose. And drop a comment below. Tell us, what does honor mean to you? This isn't just a story, it's a legacy. Let's carry it forward, together.